All right. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to another Wellness Wednesday. My name is Samantha Allen. And if you're new to Wellness Wednesday, we do this every Wednesday. And we are really educating all of you on the concept of living a healthy life and getting to the root cause of that, not just kind of slapping band-aids on things and not, just trying to dull the symptoms that you're dealing with, but really get an edge on our health and do it in a way where we can get to the root cause and really activate the cells within us to put them, allow them to go to work for us, right? Take advantage of the mechanisms that God already put into our body. And we're very key on doing that in the most natural way possible. So you're going to hear every week, we kind of have a different topic and a different thing that we like to highlight. This week, we are very focused on, it's really a no gain November, right? We really want to help you to not gain weight during this upcoming holiday season, starting with Thanksgiving and rolling into Christmas and New Year's and all of the things that usually allow the inches and the excess weight to creep in, right? So I am joined here with an amazing friend of mine, Kim Jakes, tonight, and she is going to help us understand how we can really get an advantage and maybe do some things, make a couple key shifts that could help us to not tack on so much weight and actually remain healthier through the holidays rather than the inevitable, sickness after sickness, weight gain, just not feeling good, that bloat, that the mood changes, as your weight changes and as you're adding so much sugar and kind of that bad stuff to your body, that your mood changes and it kind of spirals into a whole thing of different health challenges, right? So we're going to help you kind of get a jump on that so that you don't have to go through that if you don't want to, right? So let me go ahead and introduce Kim to you all so you know who we're chatting with here. So Kim is a midlife health and lifestyle coach, and she helps women to achieve their health goals with confidence and ease by creating a plan that they love and never need to cheat on through, courses or programs and personal coaching. And she's been helping people to optimize their health professionally since 1999. And she lives in Wilmington, North Carolina with her husband, Jeff. And she values over things, she really values experiences over things and lives an abundant minimalist lifestyle. So believes in abundance and really building that abundance in our life, but in a minimalist way, which I love that. I love your mission there, Kim. So I would love if we could just kind of dive right into our first question, Kim. And what I want to know, and what I think a lot of people would love to hear is, what do you think is the most important step to not gaining weight during the holidays and something that most people probably forget?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So the one thing that people tend to forget is to actually ask themselves if they're decided. So many times people will step into a weight loss journey or a holiday season and be wearing some shoulds on their shoulders, but not really understanding what level of commitment they are on the spectrum, right? So there's a spectrum of I should do this, I want to do this, and then there's, gosh darn it, I am all in, right? And just like Yoda said in Star Wars, do or do not, there is no try, especially in something like weight management or weight loss. If we don't understand and identify where we're at on that spectrum, then what happens is we are just not being honest with ourselves. And we may be putting pressure on ourselves as if we were committed, but not being really fully committed. And the cycle that typically happens is a deterioration of self-worth, right? Because we're saying, oh my gosh, I should not eat sugar. I should be doing portion control or whatever it is that somebody's should is, but they're not committed. So they're not doing it. And then that self-worth cycle begins to spiral downward. And what happens when we're feeling bad about ourselves? Comfort food, right? So the very first thing that I really recommend is to just really be honest with ourselves. So the should might sound like, well, I should not indulge in all the holiday festivity foods, but I really kind of want to, and that's okay, right? Just commit to it, own it. I want to. Then there's I want to not indulge in all the holiday foods, but I'm not quite there yet. So at least maybe I'll dabble in kind of experimenting what holiday could look like without being fully committed. And I'm okay with that, right? I'm okay with me. I'm okay with my desires. And this is what I'm doing. I'm being me. And then asking oneself, if I want to be committed and I'm not, what's between me and that? And sometimes that's just as simple as asking oneself that question, why is it that I'm thinking this way? Why is it that I'm feeling this way? And sometimes it really takes working with a coach to be a mirror for that question, to dive a little bit deeper. So I would say that's the very first thing that most people tend to forget, is really identifying where they're at on that commitment spectrum.
I love that, Kim. I am a big proponent of, self-awareness, understanding
Mhm.
where you are and where you want to be, right? That's like the number where you have to start. And I love what you said there. People put undue pressure on themselves when they're not aligned with really what they desire to be, right? And I just think that you have to start there. You must start there. So that was beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And then, my next question really would be, what do you think is one, like the number one food that we should either avoid or replace to help, not lose or not add such excess weight through the holiday seasons? What's kind of the one big one that you would say?
Yeah, well, let's first look at what is weight. There's 3 categories of weight, really. There is added fat, there is added water retention or inflammation, and then there's added muscle, right? Not many people complain about the added muscle. It's really, most people are looking at the inflammation, the water retention, and the fat gain. So if we're looking to do that, and I had to choose like the one hit wonder multitasking food, that would be looking at reducing sugar. And here's why. Consuming sugar, when we eat sugar, there's an on off switch. When the switch is turned on, we're able to burn fat, and fat is energy. Fat's a really good thing. We're created to snack on fat on our hips and our belly and all that. It's a good thing. It's like we were created to be cavemen and hunter gatherers, and it's not a bad thing to have fat, but we want the on switch to be on so that we can actually consume it, right? We can use it. When we're eating sugar, that switch gets turned off. It literally is turned off. Okay. So if we're looking to burn fat and we're eating sugar or even simple carbs, or even carbs in general, because the body doesn't know the difference between a Snickers bar and a sweet potato. It really doesn't know much of a difference when it comes to sugar levels and that on-off switch. Either one, it's going to turn that switch off. Okay. And so when we're looking at being able to keep the fat burning switch on, then minimizing the amount of sugar we're eating and then closing the window of when that is on. Because here's what happens when we eat sugar. The body creates a hormone called insulin, and it's like an emergency alarm. It's like, okay, there's sugar in the blood. We got to get that out of there. Insulin, come on out. Come on out. Let's get that blood sugar right out of the blood. And so insulin packs on that blood sugar, and it goes into delivery mode, and it brings it to the cells. And it says, hey, cells, do you need any sugar? And if the cells have a limited storage capacity, they say, yeah, I'll take a little bit, but not much. And then it says, okay, I'll go to the next spot, and it goes to the muscles. It says, hey, muscles, do you want some sugar? And the muscles say, yeah, I've got a limited storage supply, but I'll take some, but not all of it. Keep moving on. So it puts it on his backpack and it goes over to the liver, does the same thing, limited storage supply in the liver. But you know where there is a limitless storage supply? In our fat cells. And so that is the story of sugar. It flips the switch off on burning fat. And its job is to be able to bring sugar through that series of steps that always ends with storing it as fat. So those are some of the really good reasons to really, really focus on sugar.
Wow, Kim, I probably am speaking for a lot of people here. I think we all just learned a lot. I mean, I've heard some. I obviously know that sugar is a big one that we're supposed to avoid, but I've never really heard it explained in that way. And the fact that the fat cells have a limitless amount of storage for it, that's a really good visual. And I think we're all gonna bite into our sugary snacks a little bit differently and look at them a little bit differently now. And I'm sure nobody eats too much sugar during the holiday season, right? I'm sure that's like that's probably the easiest thing. Everybody on here is like, oh great, just avoid sugar, no big deal, right? So okay, then if you're going to tell us that sugar's the number one bad guy when it comes to wanting to not gain a ton of weight, what are some strategies? Do you have any advice? Like what could we do to maybe make some helpful swaps? Like what could we do to just make that so it's not this onslaught of sugar that typically the holiday season is from November all the way through January?
Yeah. And I'm going to start this off by telling all of you, for years now, I have enjoyed a decadent holiday season. All right. I am a food lover. Food is my number 3 joy. All right. Like I love food. So there is no way I'm ever going to sit there and deprive myself of joy. Like that's just not part of living. Right. And so I want to let you know that I have enjoyed holidays for years without having any feeling of being deprived, with zero food regrets, zero carbo crashes, and zero food comas. Okay. And for years now, despite the fact that I used to struggle with weight, anybody ever do that 5 pounds forward, 5 pounds back cha-cha? It's kind of a dance you don't want to do for too long, right? And once I hit midlife and hormones changed, I could not get out of that cha-cha. So this is despite the fact that I accidentally gained 33 pounds in that cha-cha and danced with it for a very long time. When I started making these very simple dietary changes that did not require restriction, but replacement, I accidentally lost 33 pounds and have really never had to look at the scale since, because I'm eating in alignment with my body. Now, some of those replacements are really simple. Like you can use your regular recipe for the most part, but replace a low sugar sweetener. Now, not an artificial sweetener. I never recommend the artificial sweeteners, but there's sweeteners like monk's fruit, which is a plant, and stevia, which is a plant. And those are amazing replacements to sweeten things up that really don't call on insulin that much. So if it's a low sugar sweetener, that means it's not calling on insulin very much because it's not spiking the blood sugar. And that means insulin doesn't go down that train all the way to the fat cells, right? So you can do just simple replacements that way. And also, we have amazing things at our access. They're called Google and Pinterest, right? And you can go on Google and you can go on Pinterest, and here's what you can search for. I love sauces and I love like condiments. They're the only reason to eat for me. So like I love cranberry sauce. Cranberry sauce is an incredibly sugar-rich food. But if you type in the words paleo cranberry sauce or low carb cranberry sauce or keto clean cranberry sauce, then you're going to get lots of really awesome recipes, and you just scan through them. And if it looks like there's some sort of, dirty ingredients in it, because many times keto recipes are super dirty. They have all kinds of dirtiness in them. But yeah, keto clean, paleo, primal, those are some really good search engine words to be able to find. So as an example, pumpkin pie, family fave, and pumpkin is a higher carbohydrate food. but there's amazing paleo or keto clean pumpkin recipes. There's amazing, macaroon recipes. There's amazing chocolate almond butter bar recipes. Like there's just so many recipes that are so fun. So turn it into like a food exploration, like an adventure, and just make it fun so that it's enjoyable.
I love that. And, I think you just gave a lot of really great tips. I love the Google search and the Pinterest. Like we don't have any excuses anymore of not, knowing the information. Again, I think it's going to come back to that thing that you said in the very, very opening of this, Kim. It's going to come down to the desire, because a lot of people could say, well, okay, Kim, but like what's the reality that I'm going to go through the holiday season making my normal things, but substituting with monk fruit, stevia, like some of these alternatives that you mentioned that are healthy. You're not going to do it if you haven't decided, right? Like, and that goes back to Kim's point in the very beginning. Like, there's no shame if you want to go through Thanksgiving and Christmas and all the holidays, doing what you've always done. That's totally fine. Just be honest with yourself and understand you're going to get what you've always got. So if that means that it's the weight gain and then you feel really bad about yourself in January, we're trying to equip you with the information that you can actually make a difference. So Kim, I love that you said make it a challenge, make it fun. Maybe link up with some other people who have a sincere desire to make this year different, right? Like make this the year that you're not going to, make those big weight gains through the holidays, so that when you're really trying to make bigger strides in the new year, you can actually do that. And maybe you can partner up with somebody and come up with cool recipes. Sure, when you go to somebody else's house for parties, you're probably going to see their regular treats, right? And they're going to be chock full of all the regular harmful stuff. Maybe you avoid them altogether, or maybe you decide, you know what, I'm going to take a third of what I normally would take, or just be mindful, like have your plan ahead of time so that you know what you're going to do, and do it with intention, right? Whatever you do it with intention. So I thought that was great. I put in the chat a couple of the keywords that you said, but Kim, feel free to, if I missed some and you want to type some more in the chat so people can write them down for their Google search later on, please feel free to do that. Okay, so let's keep going. So, besides sugar, like what other key tips would you recommend?
Yeah, I would say that here we are, moving towards the winter solstice. So the days are short, the nights are long. We're animals. We like to think of ourselves as not animals, but we really are. We're animals. And so from our circadian rhythm standpoint, our energy wants to start to contract. It wants to go into hibernation. And then wham, not only are we supposed to be doing our whole normal life, but now we're supposed to go shopping and baking and socializing and all these other things on top, despite the fact that our normal natural rhythms are not in alignment with that. So what happens is that actually causes stress, right? And we start to feel a little maybe overextended. And if you add on top of that, I'd like to think that every family interaction is like pure bliss. I don't know. Maybe yours is, but mine is not. And so you're adding in like some of the relationship dynamics and stress. Energy levels are really important to be able to manage. And there's a couple of things that can help us really manage our energy levels. I mean, one of them is setting boundaries, right? And saying, I'm going to go to 5 parties this week and not 6, or, saying I don't have to have the perfect buffet set up for everybody. I can have a moderately cool buffet, because it's really about just hanging out and having fun. Like you can do that. That really helps. But another thing too, is that when we are feeling stressed, we are producing some anti-fat burning hormones. So we're producing cortisol and we're producing adrenaline. So insulin, right, turns on, we're no longer burning fat. Cortisol and adrenaline, very similarly, they really affect our metabolism. And so if we're under stress and trying to lose weight, that can be a really big challenge. So we can either manage the limited amount of energy that we have because we're limited, it's contracting, or we can also expand our energy budget. Have you ever heard of that before? Like the idea of saying, all right, I'm going to expand the amount of energy I have access to. Well, here's the thing. There's a part of your cells called your mitochondria. And your cells, little mitochondria, they're fascinating little creatures. And I call them creatures because there is a theory that they are actually creatures, like they're bacteria that has evolved into a part of our cell. They're fascinating creatures. And these fascinating creatures create every ounce of energy that we have access to. But it's a limited resource. It doesn't create a limitless supply, but we can increase how much it's going to make in a couple of ways. Number one, if any of you were brought up in the 80s, then you remember the idea, or earlier, you remember the idea that if you didn't tune up your car, it backfired, right? And like it had big puffs of smoke that came out the exhaust. So you wanted to really have your car tuned up so that when it was taking in energy, in fuel, it created clean energy that got you further. Well, these mitochondria are just like engines. They're taking in energy in the form of sugars and fats. They're combusting them in their engine. And if it's clean fuel and the mitochondria are tuned up, you get better, cleaner energy. So you're expanding the amount of energy that you have access to throughout the day, right? So you have more to give to this time of the year without being under stress. All right. And so that's one of the things is we can really reduce the sugar because that is a dirty burn a short-lived dirty burn, and increase the healthy fats in order to make sure that our mitochondria are just kind of like getting the best fuel possible. And then the tune up, there's some really pretty amazing things out there that we have access to called mitochondrial optimizers. My all-time favorite mitochondrial optimizer is called Protandim NRF1. It's a tiny little pill of natural goodness. You're able to take it in, and every mitochondria in your body, now there can be hundreds and hundreds of mitochondria inside your cells, right? So like they're just lit up all at once. And so you have more energy to think, you have more energy to move, you have more energy to heal, you have more energy to hang out with your mother-in-law. Let's be honest, right? And so when you have more energy, you're able to bring your best self to the table, and you feel more connection and more joy. And then it becomes a self kind of perpetuating cycle. So I would say eating in alignment with supporting fueling your mitochondria the best way possible, and then get your hands on some awesome mitochondrial optimizers. Again, my favorite is Protandim NRF1 in order to be able to support yourself. And by the way, when your mitochondria are happy, your metabolism is happy. So amen to that, because now you have a partner. You have millions of partners in being able to help you lose weight.
This is fascinating to me, Kim. I could keep listening to you talk. The way you explain it all with the analogies, but then the science, it's so good. And I hope everyone's kind of taking notes either mentally or physically. But I have to agree with you that the energy is such an important thing. But I think a lot of times people, when they hear energy, they think like the way a lot of the modern society tries to get energy, right? With like the jolt, like caffeine, like a jolt of caffeine with their coffee or with energy drinks. And that's certainly not what you're talking about. You're talking about clean energy into the source of the cell, right? Into that mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. Because when our cells, I mean, we are made up of cells, trillions and trillions of cells. that when they have the energy, the rest of our body operates and performs the way it's supposed to. And as Kim said, your metabolism is going to function better. It's really that ripple effect. If your mitochondria is healthy and functioning well, it's going to cause a good ripple effect throughout your body. So I love that you said that. I love that you shared your favorite mitochondria optimizer. I love that term too. I have also been using Protandim NRF1 for several years now. And I have to say, I'm a mother of 6 children. I just had my 6th child 3 months ago. So I've got a 3-month-old newborn. And I have been able to experience that benefit firsthand of really all the things that you've talked about tonight, because one, I was given that tip many years ago, probably first by my sister, about keying in on the sugar, the thing about the sugar, and being aware, right? Just being aware of the things that we're putting into our mouths. That's the first step. Being able to look at labels, not obsessively, not like one of those crazy lunatics people, but just looking at it with awareness and deciding, what am I going to do? Am I intentionally going to put this into my mouth and eat this and consume this, or would I rather forego this for a healthier option, right? So having that awareness, and then being able to reduce that sugar over the past, I've probably been eating what I would say mostly paleo, kind of 80/20, for the past 8 years, I'd say. And I've been able to, from pregnancy to pregnancy, maintain a healthy weight. I haven't been doing a lot of that ballooning and coming back down. And I really do attribute that to, one, the awareness of the things I'm putting in my mouth; two, the avoiding the bad sugars, and finding healthier replacements. And then three, using these optimizers, right? Like, once I learned that there were ways that we can also help our body on top of doing the right things in our habits, using the things that can really catapult our body's ability to create, build healthy cells. And so I love that you mentioned Protandim NRF1. I'm curious if you would recommend any other key tools, because there's a few that my family has used for the past few years, and I'm wondering if you might have any thoughts on those as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And first and foremost, 6 children. Holy moly, you are doing a great job, lady. And I'm also seeing some really great questions in the chat. So I will answer your question, but I'm seeing people who are talking about coconut sugar. Yes, it is a lower glycemic sugar as well. It's not a 0 glycemic sugar, but it is low. Also, Lupe is saying, yep, gluten-free rice flour substitution for regular flours. Yep, rice flour is awesome. Coconut flour is rockin'. Coconut and almond flour are much lower in glycemic levels. Glycemic is another word for sugar. So many recipes with them. So those are great. Jane had a question about dirty keto. Yeah, there's a lot of recipes out there for keto recipes that are just focused on low carb exclusively, and they add in a lot of things like cream cheese. Like, let's have a cream cheese pancake. Sure, it's low carb, but right. So it's nice to differentiate between the low and the high. Yep. So those were some of the quick scan questions that I had. Ditch GMO foods, it's poison. Yep. Great. Okay, so would I recommend anything else? I am typically a lifestyle focused coach. I like to talk to people about sleep. I like to talk to people about movement. Notice I didn't say exercise, movement. I like to talk to people about food, stress, play. Like, these are all things that actually affect your metabolism. But with that being said, there are a couple of things that I really emphasize that are important to support a healthy metabolism. One is Protandim NRF1. One is Protandim NRF2, because remember I said there's 3 kinds of weight gain. There's fat, there's inflammation, and there's muscle. And so the inflammation component of it is really positively affected by Protandim NRF2. It is an extraordinary investment in overall health as well. It takes care of something in our body called oxidative stress, which for any health practitioner, they realize that oxidative stress is the cornerstone to every disease state and like all age-related symptoms. And this just happens to reduce oxidative stress and inflammation incredibly well on so many levels in every cell of the body. So I do recommend that more for anti-aging, longevity, and weight management. And then there is one, it's called a fat burner. I don't typically recommend fat burners. Some of them are just not healthy for you, but there is one that I recommend that has an all natural formula for it. And what it does is it's, instead of like revving up your metabolism and getting you all jittery so that you lose some extra weight, what it's doing is it's actually reminding your body. Remember that switch that when you turn it on, your body remembers how to burn fat, and when you turn it off, it doesn't? It turns that on. And so it's an all-natural citrus-based formula that has major research around it. In fact, people who take it are shown to burn an additional 187 calories a day just by going like this, taking a pill, putting it in your mouth, and taking a sip of water, right? So it's put out by the same company that Protandim is put out with. It's called Fat Burn. And Sam, you'll have to let me know. I believe there may actually be like a free shipping for that package of Nerf 1, Nerf 2, and Fat Burn for the month of November. But that trio is just a very extraordinary ally through the holidays. Because here's the deal. Have any of you ever heard of the concept, the Pareto principle, or otherwise known as the 80-20 rule? If we strive for perfection, we're going to end up beating ourselves up. So if we strive for 80-20 and then give ourselves some natural allies that are on our side to help us out, like Nerf 2, Nerf 1, and Fat Burner, then we're stepping into the holidays with confidence. We're making 80% of our decisions really rockin', and 20% enjoyment, pleasure choices, not cheats. And then also giving our body the ability to be activated to do what it knows how to do. We're designed to thrive. Our industrialized society is just not in alignment with our genetic coding. So it's a good idea to be able to fortify ourselves with things that really activate our body to overcome the industrialized world that we're just not designed to live in.
Wow. That was beautiful. The way you wrapped that all up. Those recommendations, I 100% agree with you. The Protandim NRF2 and Protandim NRF1, I like to look at those as like a 1-2 punch. And I have taken literally those two products every day for the past 6 and 10 years. So 10 years for the NRF2, 6 years for the NRF1, as that was developed a little bit later. And the combination there of, NRF1 improving and making our mitochondria more healthy, and then also increasing our healthy supply of mitochondria, but then at the same time reducing dramatically that inflammation and oxidative stress, or like the toxic load in every cell of our body with NRF2. It's such a foundational 1-2 punch for any health goal you're looking to achieve. But if you're looking to be serious about making some serious strides with weight gain, you have to start at the very root. So I love that you pointed those out, Kim, that reducing the inflammation, the stress load, the improving the mitochondria, that's going to be kind of your base for where to start. Then, we talked about the nutritional things that we can do. Of course, sugar was the big one. And then in the chat, some people mentioned a few other big ones to avoid, and we could probably go through a laundry list. Tonight, we wanted to keep it nice and focused. So I love that you really focused on the sugar aspect and how people can really take a look at either replacing or reducing their sugar intake. And then that extra added benefit, if you're looking for just like that extra edge, if you feel like you've maybe done all the things and you're committed to looking at the sugar, reducing that, and then you are you understand the value of that foundation with the reducing inflammation, improving mitochondria, reducing oxidative stress, but you want that like tool that might help you get that extra edge. I can't recommend that fat burn enough. And you might want to look into it on your own. The research is incredibly compelling. There's some really amazing chats about it that you can, that the person who invited you here tonight, I'm sure can plug you into it. Just to explain, you know, it's using natural citrus extracts, specifically grapefruit and guarana, and blood orange, and the science surrounding the combination there and the synergy that they have together is actually activating another ability in our body. So the same way we're activating with the Protandim products, we're also activating with that fat burn, the process that allows our body to burn that fat. And it just is giving you kind of that extra edge without having the negative detriment, right? Not having that like that fat burning effect that is unnatural. It's all organic to the body, and it's really allowing your body to do what it already knows how to do, but it's kind of, it's a little bit stressed out, it's a little bit bogged down, and we're kind of just allowing the processes to work better. So we could go on and on, Kim, and I would love to hear more from you. And I hope that we can get you back here for another Wellness Wednesday soon, because I know everybody really enjoyed this. And reading the chat, I know everybody gained a lot from this, as did I. So if anybody has further questions, if you want to get more details about some of the things that you've heard tonight, definitely get back with the person who invited you, because they can plug you into Facebook groups, they can plug you into other videos where some of these things that we spoke about are covered in more detail. Some of the specific product recommendations, as Kim said, specifically now through November, for right now through the end of November, there is an ability to get free shipping if you have that fat burn product attached to your order. So get back with the person who invited you, see how you can take advantage of that if that's something you're interested in. But otherwise, just thank you for your time. Thanks so much for being here. We hope you all have a blessed Thanksgiving, and have safe travels if you're going to be traveling to see your family and friends. So Kim, thank you so much. Can't thank you enough for your wisdom and the time you spent with us tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody. God bless.